Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our broadcast today. And a very happy new year as well. We would like to talk about Project for the Web and Power Automate. We are here, Peter and me, Christina, from the project and portfolio team here at Proactive. And we have a lot to show and tell today. Peter, he will be the one guiding through the session and showing live how to set up one flow in Power Automate.
We're going to look at a bunch of things. Yes.
Exactly. Take it away, Peter.
Thank you very much, Christina. All right. So Power Automate and Project for the Web. So first off, I just want to, for you new viewers who doesn't know much about Proactive, we are a leading Microsoft partner. We have several gold partnerships. Good one. And we've been lucky to be nominated to Partner of the Year a couple of times. I think it's 4 or something. It's pretty astonishing. And yeah, so we're pretty proud of that. 2020, we just came out of it. Crazy year.
What a year.
I think everyone thinks
Happy
that.
that it's over as well, but it had some
very
definitely good points in it.
Definitely. As well. So, but some good things did happen as well. And if we look at this slide, this is one I'm particularly proud of. We became the Partner of the Year in Project and Portfolio Management, and that is huge. It's not just Denmark, but it was worldwide winner. So
award,
yeah, what happened there? So crazy, but good, crazy good. So Project for the Web. Around a year ago, I was standing here as well. I was talking about Microsoft Project Online. It was built on SharePoint. It was to capture projects and project work. And a lot has happened since. So Project for the Web came out. It's Microsoft new kit. It's built on the Power Platform. It's based on the Dataverse as a platform, or formerly known as Common Data Service, or CDS. And so that is the new project offer from Microsoft. And just to tell you just a bit about the features of the tool, or maybe what's different, is we don't anymore have check-in, check-out in projects. We now have Kanban boards, we have business rules, we have PCF components that help us visualize what we want to do better, and there's a huge speed boost because it's on the Dataverse now. And yeah, there's just a ton of things that they did right with this new product.
So a lot more easy as well for the project managers.
It definitely is. So it they said in their broadcast that it was for the new upcoming workers, the millennials, etc. It was cleaner and nicer and faster and everything we was looking for. But as with anything else, they gave us the minimum viable product first, of course, and then they started pushing updates out to it. So for many of you who have seen the tools when it was first released, well, that was a first edition of it, and many updates has been applied since then. So these Microsoft tools, what we're going to focus on today is this modern tool set, which consists of Project for the Web. It's not just the tool planning part of it, but it's also the Power App. So the where we can specify the custom fields, we can have the stage gate. So for you who have been in and just gotten on to project.microsoft.com and tried the schedule, it's not just that. It does a whole lot more, and it's really in the Power App where we can do all the nice magic and where we get the portfolio. And the customizations as well. And I know my customers has been really been getting all the benefits of this tool this year, especially 2020 with the COVID, being able to sit at home and still collaborate, and management can still focus and see the portfolio overview. And yeah, so it has been crucial to have that tool this year, especially. Yeah, and like many else, working from home became widely public acceptable, and when you don't have colleagues near you, you need some kind of tool to bind your together. And of course, Teams is a huge player in that, and Project for the Web is just connected to that.
You will maybe also show how you can actually visualize your projects in Teams, for instance.
Exactly. So it's fully connected, and we can show the schedule, and we can collaborate, etc. But also, Power Automate is there. So what is Power Automate? And that is a tool that helps you focus on the things that you need to focus on. So it can automate tasks that you normally do, and it can help you work faster and smarter. So, but we'll come back to Power Automate. But those are the two main tools that we'll be talking about today. All right. So I've set up a small agenda. So what I want to do is I want to do something with baselines. So for you guys who have been working with Project Online or Microsoft Project or maybe another project, you know the functionality of setting a baseline. Today, out of the box, that is not something that you can do in Project for the Web. It is on the roadmap for Microsoft, but I thought, why don't we just do that today? And that is actually what we've been doing all the time with Project for the Web. So it's I think you mentioned it to me earlier, like Microsoft gave us this vanilla, and then together with the customers, we defined the taste that they need, and then we build it. So I kind of like that expression. So we're going to talk about baselines. We're going to set up a flow to set that baseline, and we're also going to show in Power BI where we pull that data out to see what does baseline do to a project when we use that. We're going to focus a bit more on Power Automate as well. We're going to talk about pulling maybe a Power BI report out, sending that to an email on a scheduled plan. That is something that is completely new. Microsoft released it, I think, a month ago, and we're going to look at that. And also, I have two things more. It's notifications. So Project for the Web right now, out of the box, do not have notifications, but I have two flows that can get you going with that.
So you're saying there's no unnecessary noise.
There's no unnecessary noise.
You create what you need. For
exactly. So as a team member, I can set up notifications for myself if I want to. And we're going to look at that.
Perfect.
But let's talk about baselines. So I write baseline 0 here, and the reason why I write baseline 0 is for all you guys who have been working with project, who knows, well, there's in the standard old option baseline 0 to baseline 10. We're just going to focus on one baseline today. That gives us the picture that we need. We don't need to do 10 baselines. So let's just focus on the one. But using baselines is when you're doing project management and project planning, if you don't have anywhere to set the dates on, like fixed the dates in and log them, once you start working with them, maybe things get pushed, maybe somebody is sick who can't complete the task within the deadline and so forth. Well, if you have a deadline, you can, or a baseline, you can really see how that affects your plan.
So that's a basic project management principle you can see.
Exactly. So PMO can go back. They can measure performance. Are we good at running projects? No, we're always not delivering on time, etc. The baselines really gives us the visual of that. So I think that's a pretty neat thing. Of course, getting into baselines, once you get going with that, you need to think on other terms as well, because then the whole estimation of a plan becomes super important. Because if the estimation is wrong, well, then on the first task that you've estimated wrong, well, then maybe your delivery goes away. So when you do baselines, you should consider adding in buffers like estimation buffers, risk buffers when you do your risk assessment, and then you start and use of that buffer instead of moving your entire plan. You can adjust those buffers, and then keep the baseline and keep the delivered agreement. Yeah. So let's get into it. So baseline 0, what we want is something like this. So this is Power BI, and what I can see here is it's my schedule from Project Flagship, and what I can see here is the light blue line, that is my task from the schedule, and the dark blue line, that is actually my baseline 0. And here I can see that there are several tasks that is straying off course. But if I go to the very last one, the task 7, I can see my deadline is not affected. And that is because those tasks that we have up top, they're not on the critical path. So it doesn't change my finish line. So we're all good still, even though that these are not following the baseline. So all is good. So we want to end up with something like that in regards of baselines, where we can really visually see how's the plan progressing.
This is also, of course, a huge impact on your resource planning.
Exactly.
If a sub-delivery is delayed, for instance.
Yeah. And we can go back and we can track why was this resource not allocated here or over-allocated. And yeah. Yes. Let's go on to the hands-on sessions. And I'm just going to exit this slideshow. And so first up, I want to add the baseline finish and the baseline start. So I've navigated into to my solution in Project for the Web. So this is the Power App part. You can see it says Power App at the top of the window. I've added 2 new columns. And yes, this was previously called fields. Recently, Microsoft renamed that to columns, and that's completely fine. So now we have columns and tables and rows where we had records and entities and fields. Maybe not in that direct order, but yeah, rename is good. So we have these 2 new fields. What I need to do is, you can see it's on the project task entity that I have here. So what I need to do is I want to create a view for myself where I can see these 2 new baselines. So if I go to my view, I've created a new view called Tracking Task View, and I've simply just dragged and dropped these 2 new baselines in and saved this view. That makes it accessible in my Project for the Web entity.
So these are the start and end dates.
Yeah, so that's the baseline start and baseline finish. In this view here, we can see they're blank. They're not set. If I navigate to Project for the Web, this is my Project Flagship. In my Project Flagship, I have my tasks. And right here, I can actually see all my tasks. And it's loading, just like so. What I've done is I've actually created a duplicate of this project. Sometimes when I'm running projects or want to run a new project, I want to run something that is similar to the one that I've maybe just completed. So what you can do is you can click copy project, and you can get the entire plan onto a new project. And I actually just did that. So let's navigate to my new project called Baseline. And it's right here. And if I go into tasks, I can see all the similar tasks that I had before, right in here. So what I'm looking at here is I have my start date and I have my finish date listed here. And what I want to do is I want to capture that so I can see that. And if I just navigate to the detailed version of this in the Power App, I can go to Project Tasks, and I can go to my Tracking Task View. So it's actually showing exactly the same tasks, but here I can have several custom fields that are enterprise. The other view where I had, I can create some custom fields as well, but they're local. These are enterprise, so I can report on them. So here I can see my baseline start and my baseline finish. And what I need to do is I need to create a flow that captures all these start and finish dates, so they get copied to these 2 new rows. And I've already, just like in a cooking program, went ahead with that. What you can see here is this is Power Automate, and let's just go one step back. So what is Power Automate? We've already talked a bit about it. It can help you be more effective in your work. And if you go to flow.microsoft.com, on the very first page you meet, you can see that it has some suggestions for you. So if I look at top picks, I can see save Office 365 email attachments to OneDrive for Business. So every time I receive an attachment in my email, I can define that gets saved to a folder. Or I could get a push notification when you receive an email from your boss. Well, that's pretty useful. So I kind of like that, and it's just click and connect, and it creates that flow for you, not for the entire organization, but just for you, and then you can share it with others if you want to. So I kind of like that. So what I did is I created a new flow, and the way I created is when I went to Project for the Web, I can see that there's a flow button up here. If I click on it, I can click create a new flow. And that is exactly what I did. You can see that there's a set baseline down here. And so let's go to that flow. It's called set baseline. And what it does is it recognizes that I have selected that button. And what I want to do is I want to get the current project that I'm in. So I'm using a get record. It's the first one up there, that's a trigger. Everything else, that's actions in your flow.
Peter, so is this a typical developer task you're doing?
I'm not a developer. I see myself as a citizen developer. That means low code, and these are all just drag and drop actions. And the same goes for Project for the Web. Most of it. So yeah, in regards of maintenance of this on the back end, when we've done an implementation, is easy for the customers. We always do that admin training where we learn how to set up these different things, and you don't need a developer to take over these.
So once you've created it for me, I can adjust it myself.
Of course, yeah, definitely. Let me just show you this with action. So if I click the plus here on my flow, I can add an action. And I can choose from, I think it's 400 different actions, or maybe more of that, 400 services, I believe. And then there's a whole lot more actions. So in here, I can choose what I want. And what I did below was I got a record from CDS, or now known as Dataverse. And when I click on Common Data Service, I can see what can I do within CDS. And I selected to get a record because what I want is I want to get my current project, which I do here. And best practices, when you do these steps in Power Automate, go ahead and rename those. This was called get record before. Now it's saying get current project. And then when you hand that over to somebody, they can read the actions without necessarily going into the flow. That is especially necessary when you go in and you do error seeking, and then there you just need to know what you're looking for. So yeah, best practices, rename your steps so they fit with the current action. All right, so I'm getting my current project. You see I'm looking for the entity called projects, and there I'm looking for the project ID. The next that I do is I set a variable. So I want to pull out that project ID to a variable. So I initialize that. And then I'm going to get all my tasks. And this one is called list records. I just rename it to get all project tasks, because that is exactly what it does. I define that it should get all the tasks in the project task entity. And if I go down here, I have an apply on each. I renamed that to set baseline on each. And then I select the value from get all the projects up here. And I go ahead and I update a record. So update a record, it was saying here, and I renamed it to set baseline on task. So when you're looking for those actions, well, you might have to look back at this broadcast, but still you can get the actions. So here, I'm gonna select my project tasks. Identifying each task ID, and then if I go to advanced here, you see I have my baseline finish and my baseline start. Those were the two fields I created when this began. And here I'm simply just saying it should stamp in finish, and it should stamp in the current start dates. And that's it. When you do these flows, some can become very long and complex. It says here, it's actually saying here already, your flow is ready to go. We recommend you to test it. Before you execute a flow, try and see if you can break it down into steps. And maybe while you're doing it, because I'm just going to show you an action, because the first action I'm doing here is actually getting the project ID. So what I want to do is I don't want to run the entire flow. I want to have it terminate after it has gotten my my project ID. So I just write terminate here. So the search is really helpful when I look for functions that I want to do. So I just write terminate, and it finds my control here. And if this on top here is successful, I want it to terminate right there.
So it's a control loop you're adding.
Yeah. And if there's any developers out there, they would know that this is a break in the code. So it breaks out there. So yeah, it's really good as well when doing the flow, but also when doing these error testing. Make it break where you want to, check the values, and then you're good to go. So break it into sections, and once you're confident that your flow runs the way you want it to, well then go ahead and remove those terminates, and then you're all good to go. Yeah.
Very nice.
Especially useful when dealing with sending out multiple emails, maybe to the company regarding there's new tasks or something, so you don't send it to an entire corporation when you don't need to. All right, good. So we've now set the baseline, and if I go back here, you can see I have my tracking Gantt. If I go into flow, I can now click set baseline. I'm going to run that flow. Clicking done, and this takes a minute. So remember, it finds my project and it runs it through. And if I just go back here, I can see that flow actually running. It has already succeeded 12 seconds ago. So if I go back and just refresh this page, I might need to navigate to that. Let's just do that. Project tasks. Go to the tracking task view. You can now see it has perfectly captured all our new baselines. So all of that I can capture in Power BI and see that visual. I've already have that Power BI, of course. So if I navigate to that, props up to XVis for creating that visual. It's the only Gantt chart in Power BI that can actually show baselines. But if I refresh this. Let's just do a quick refresh. Refresh now, just like so. Refresh the page. I should be able to see those baselines underneath each task. I haven't moved any tasks yet, so they should be just online. But when I move something, you would see that it moves accordingly. Yeah. And
I think the Power BI helps you to visualize in a much better way than just looking at the pure numbers and at the table, which of course is, if you want to pinpoint to a specific task, is a very good and precise way.
It is, because when you just look at the numbers, so the numbers are in, it has been refreshed. We now see that these are my tasks, and when they move accordingly. So a great visible way to see it, and when I'm in Project for the Web, this doesn't really give me the same feel as the visual does. Good. So there's a few more things that I wanna. The time is running really fast today, but when you're having fun, as you said, there's a new feature in Power Automate that I really love, and I know a lot of you guys are using Power BI, and one of the things some of you are doing still is taking those Power BI reports and maybe sending it off to portfolio managers or stakeholders, etc. This new feature added to Power Automate, you can do a recurrence. So once a month, I'm gonna export a file for a Power BI report, and what you can see here is I've selected a project called Project Flagship. That's actually a workspace. I'm selecting my tracking Gantt. That's the Power BI you saw before. I'm exporting as a picture, and I'm gonna send an email with that attachment. Right. So now you no longer have to go in, save it as a PowerPoint or something like that, I can do that directly from the flow, and then email it directly. And I don't need to think about it. That I've done it with a tracking Gantt. That could be a status report. That could be whatever you would like. So I really like that feature. The only but on that is you do need a Power BI Premium license. All right.
But this is automating a lot of your project management.
It is.
Tools.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about Project for the Web and Power Automate. What I'm using all the time is this page here. It's the tech community where I follow the project blog. And recently they came out with they updates are coming all the time, and we find them here. This is where you find all your updates. But what they also do is they help you enhance the tool. So right here it says new flow templates for Project for the Web. And if I navigate into that, you can see that right here they give you for free these new recipes for nice flows to run. So the two flows that I had in my agenda, like send email notification when I'm assigned a task in a project, that's right here. I can just click on it. It takes me directly to the flow, and I just need to click on the connect or continue button down here once it finished loading, and that flow is actually set up for me. The same goes for the other reminder task that is reminding you of late tasks, etc.
Great.
Yeah,
so everyone can just take it from there actually.
Exactly.
Do it themselves.
Yeah, they can go ahead and they can set up notifications for themselves. Good. Yeah, I think we're well over time though. I don't know if there's been any questions on from you guys out there. But that is Power Automate and Project for the Web.
Great.
Seamlessly working together and helping you doing some awesome work.
Brilliant, Peter.
Yeah, maybe just on an end note, all this is of course connected to Teams. I'm showing it right here. So I have all my project details. This is where I do my collaboration. I have my schedule. I have that tracking Gantt. And yeah, it's just working all together.
Great. So my team can also see it there, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
great.
Yeah. If any of you guys are interested in hearing more, or maybe getting that solution that I showed earlier, that we call it our PPM Pro, well, you can just navigate to this screen and get that QR code, and you're on your way. You can get in contact with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. That was really inspiring.
I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. And thanks for everyone joining today. And stay in touch. If you have any questions, reach out to us.
Yeah. Bye.